You feel it, do not you? That quiet sting when you are ignored. The slow burn when someone smiles to your face but sharpens a knife behind your back. The moment you realize you have been played, used, moved like a pawn on life's invisible game board. Pause good, because pain is not weakness. Pain is information. Pain is a signal. Pain is a map. And today, you are going to turn that pain into power they will never forget. Stay with me. Do not drift. Do not multitask. Because by the end of this video, you will no longer ask why people manipulate you. You will see the signs instantly. You will feel the strings before they tighten. You will sense the trap before your foot touches it. And more importantly, you will know exactly how to flip the game so they regret ever trying. Music fades in, low and tense. This is not about becoming evil. This is not about hurting others for pleasure. This is about becoming untouchable. This is about never being small again. Because power is not given. Power is taken. Power is not given. Pause, tell me in the comments right now, before we go any further. Have you ever felt used by someone you trusted? Someone you defended? Someone you made excuses for? Type yes or no. No stories yet. Just honesty. Because awareness begins with admission. Now listen carefully. Most people never realize they are being manipulated until the damage is done. Why? Because manipulation is quiet. It does not kick the door down. It sneaks in. It wears friendly masks. It speaks in soft voices. It pretends to care. And it hides behind good intentions. But once you see the pattern, the fog lifts. And when the fog lifts, you stop being prey. You stop reacting. You stop bleeding energy. You become the hunter. Good. Now let us turn that into something they will never forget. Music tightens slightly. The first dark sign is subtle, but deadly. They control the frame. You walk into a conversation feeling confident. Your spine is straight. Your voice is clear. You know who you are. You leave that same conversation feeling confused. Second guessing. Explaining things that never needed explaining. You start a relationship feeling equal. Balanced, respected. You end up defending your tone, your choices, your reactions, like you are on trial. That is not random. That is not misunderstanding. That is frame control. Pause here is how it works. They decide what is normal. They decide what is reasonable. They decide what is too much. They decide when you are calm and when you are emotional. And slowly, without touching you, without raising their voice, they push you into their reality, their rules, their court, their invisible throne. They sigh when you speak, making your words feel heavy. They smirk when you explain, making you feel dramatic. They stay calm while poking you, then point at your reaction as proof that you are the problem. That is not maturity. That is theater. Machiavelli warned about this centuries ago when he wrote that men judge more by the eye than by the hand. In simple words, people believe what they are shown, not what is true, and manipulators are masters of what they show. And here is the painful part. This is where most people lose. You start adjusting. You soften your words. You overthink your tone. You doubt your instincts. You explain more. You apologize faster. You shrink. Pause, but here is the real game changer. The moment you stop defending your frame and start enforcing it, the power shifts instantly. You do not argue. You do not debate. You do not chase understanding from someone who benefits from misunderstanding you. You state, you pause, you let silence do the violence. For example, they say, you are being too sensitive. You feel the hook. You feel the urge to explain. You resist. You say, that is your opinion. Pause, and you stop. No emotion. No extra words. No defense. You just placed your throne of silence in the room. And now they are the ones exposed. Now they are the ones uncomfortable. Why does this work? Because manipulators feed on reactions. They feed on your energy, your confusion, your need to be understood. When you stop feeding them, they feel naked. Burn this into your mind. Whoever controls the frame controls the outcome, not the loudest, not the angriest, the calmest. If you master this, you will never feel small in a conversation again. Never, but do not relax yet, because that was only the door. The second sign goes deeper, and this one poisons your self-worth. Music intensifies slightly. The second dark sign is guilt as a weapon. They do not demand. Demand creates resistance. They disappoint. They sigh. They go quiet. They pull away. They do not attack. They withdraw. And suddenly, without them saying it directly, you feel responsible for emotions that were never yours to carry. They say things like, I guess I just expected more from you. Or, do what you want. I am fine. But you can feel it. They are not fine, and they want you to pay for it. Pause. This is emotional taxation. They tax your conscience. They tax your kindness. They charge you for existing as yourself. Marcus Aurelius wrote that if you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your judgment about it. Manipulators understand this deeply, so they attack your judgment. They make you feel wrong for having boundaries, selfish for saying no, cold for protecting your energy. And here is the trap. Good people fall for this. Because you care, because you want peace, because you want to be fair, because you do not want to hurt others. Pause, but hear this clearly. Good intentions without strategy create victims. So how do you flip this? You remove guilt from the equation completely. When they use disappointment, you do not rush to fix it. You do not rush to apologize. You respond with calm clarity. You say, I hear you. Pause, and nothing else. No apology unless you truly did wrong. No over-explaining. No bending your spine to make someone else comfortable. Why? Because guilt only works when you accept false responsibility. Machiavelli said it is better to be feared than loved, if one cannot be both. This does not mean becoming cruel. It means not letting your kindness become a leash around your neck. Drop in the comments right now. Type this sentence. I am not responsible for emotions I did not create. Type it slowly. Let it settle and listen closely. Once guilt stops working on you, manipulators do not stop. They escalate. They change tactics, which leads us to the third sign, and this one reveals their desperation. Music lowers. Ominous, the third dark sign, is inconsistent rewards. One day, they praise you, they compliment you, they make you feel chosen. The next day, silence, distance, cold shoulders. One moment, you feel valued. The next moment, invisible, unseen, unimportant. Pause. This is not moodiness. This is not stress. This is conditioning. It is the same trick used on slot machines. You pull the lever. Sometimes you win. Sometimes you lose. And that uncertainty hooks you deeper than consistency ever could. They give you attention just enough to keep you hoping. They take it away just enough to keep you chasing. And slowly, you stop acting from strength. You start acting from hunger. Ask yourself this: why do some men become addicted to approval from those who disrespect them? Why do intelligent people tolerate inconsistency? Because inconsistency creates obsession. Pause, but now watch how this flips the entire game. You stop responding to inconsistency with effort. You stop proving. You stop chasing. You respond with consistency. They go cold. You stay neutral. They go warm. You stay grounded. No emotional spikes. No reward for bad behavior. No punishment for good behavior. You become boring to manipulate. And here is the brutal truth. The moment they realize they cannot control you with highs and lows, one of two things happens. They lose interest, or they submit. Either way, you win. This is why stoic men become untouchable. They do not rise. They do not fall. They observe. They choose. Pause, and do you know what scares manipulators the most? Someone who cannot be emotionally shaken. Someone who cannot be rushed. Someone who cannot be starved of validation. But do not get comfortable yet, because the fourth sign is quieter, more dangerous, and it can destroy your reputation if you miss it. Music Titans, the fourth dark sign, is triangulation. They never confront you directly. Direct confrontation requires courage. They involve others. They pull third parties into the game. They speak about you, not to you. You hear things like, "People are saying," or "I do not think everyone agrees with you," or "Someone mentioned you might be difficult." Pause, notice the pattern. No names, no facts, no specifics. Just pressure. This is social warfare. They use the crowd as a weapon. They want you unsure, isolated, looking over your shoulder. Machiavelli warned that a ruler must guard himself against flatterers. But he also warned against whispers, because whispers rot power from the inside. When someone triangulates, they want you divided from your ground. They want you defending yourself against shadows. So here is the counter, and this is critical. You bring everything into the open. You say, "Who said that?" Pause, and you wait. If they hesitate, if they dodge, if they say it does not matter, you respond calmly. You say, "Then I will ignore it." And you move on. You do not defend yourself against ghosts. You do not argue with rumors. You do not chase approval from a crowd that was never there. Because truth does not fear light. Tell me in the comments. Have you ever had someone talk about you instead of to you? Type "seen" if this hits close. Now here is the psychological reversal. When you refuse to engage in triangulation, you force manipulators into a corner. They must either confront you directly or retreat. Both outcomes protect your power. Remember this: your reputation is not defended by explanations. It is defended by consistency. Pause, but there is one final sign, and this one is the most dangerous of all, because it attacks who you are becoming. Music drops to a low, heavy tone. The fifth dark sign is identity erosion. They chip away at who you are. Your confidence, your dreams, your ambition, your edge. They say things like, "You have changed," or "You are not like you used to be," or "This does not suit you." Pause. At first, it sounds caring, concerned, protective, but over time, it becomes a cage. They are not reacting to your flaws. They are reacting to your growth, your independence, your strength, because when you evolve, you threaten their control. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to be like the cliff against which the waves continually break. The waves crash. The cliff remains. You must become that cliff. Here is how you flip this final weapon. You anchor your identity internally. You stop asking permission to grow. You stop seeking approval for your direction. You move in silence. You let results speak. When they question your path, you say, "This works for me." Pause and you stop. No defending, no convincing, no explaining your vision to people who benefit from you staying small. This is where most people fail. They overshare, they justify, they beg to be understood. But powerful men are not understood early. They are understood later, after the results, after the distance. Pause, now listen carefully. These 5 signs always travel together. Frame control, guilt, inconsistency, triangulation, identity erosion. Once you see one, look for the others. Once you see the pattern, you cannot unsee it. And here is the final transformation. You do not confront manipulators emotionally. You do not beg. You do not explode. You outgrow them strategically. You become calm where they want chaos. You become silent where they want reaction. You become solid where they want cracks. This is the invisible game board of life. And now you can read it, move on it, win on it. Music slowly rises, empowering when this video ends. Do not scroll. Do not distract yourself. Pause, sit still, breathe, ask yourself, which sign hit you hardest? Which one exposed someone in your life? Share it in the comments, not names, lessons. If this resonated, smash like. Subscribe for more dark tactics and ruthless clarity. This channel is not about comfort. It is about command. Before you go, you will make an oath. Type it in the comments. Say it out loud if you dare. I choose power over pity. I choose awareness over ignorance. I choose to rule my mind, not surrender it. Pause. Good. Walk differently now. Speak slower. Watch more. React less. Because once you see the strings, no one can ever pull you again.